Hey, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. The Honesty Apostle, the Elders of Great Millstone. Hey, real quick, I was trying to get a good video while I was driving. It's a little rough out there, as you can see. Audio didn't come quite good, standard quality, but nevertheless, I could just record over. It's not a big deal. But what I was gonna say, man, is concerning this upcoming RFID technology, this biometric technology. As you can see, all of this stuff is ramping up, and in 2018 they're going to implement a lot of it. Just like in 2017, you had your highlights and your different things that were implemented that slowly helped it. You had your Fitbit watches and all this other stuff. Well, the same way they already have it in transportation, because that's how you shut down America. Salaki, I'm kind of rambling through. I'm trying to collect my thoughts, but hey, that's how you stop America. Basically, that's how the grind mill cease. You have to stop the transportation. And the brothers in Los Angeles brought it out. Hey, you want to stop transportation, basically you stop the trucks. You want to stop food coming in, and this right here in my truck, or in the truck, this is an RFID scanner, these different devices up here. So if law enforcement pulls by and they have a RFID scanning device, they can scan these different tags and they can receive information on the vehicle. I don't think my information is in there, but they can receive information on the vehicle, and that's how they can track different vehicles. And coming up here, well, you'll see. I'll let it get that far. Coming up here, I'm about to go through what's called a weigh station. These different weigh stations are positioned at probably I say about every mile, every hour, every 60 miles, about 100, every 100 miles you have a weigh station. And the way it works, if you're in a diesel truck, you have to pull in if the station's open, and I'm gonna go through the scanner in a little minute, and if it blinks red, I have to pull in, and they check the weight of the vehicle. The truck, if it weighs over 80,000 pounds, then the driver will get a ticket for it. The company it's some electronic shit. The company will get, basically, it'll be record that the company had an overweight vehicle come through there, and some other useless mumbo jumbo concerning the CDL license. But the point I'm trying to get to with these so-called weigh stations, that's that. Like I said, they're every 100 miles. So for all these different drivers who are trucking through America, who are going through America, bringing in products from West Coast to East Coast, or North to South, or whatever, they're bringing different stuff in. And they're getting paid, because truck driving is considered, I hate to make this about truck driving, but truck drivers are considered an unskilled labor. So they're not really getting paid shit versus the people who are in the logistics industry who run that cargo. But this is, as you can see, there's the sign that says, "Where's this coals are open, it's not a good quality, Salaki again." And then you have the weigh station coming up, which is usually filled by state troopers. I didn't have to pull into this particular one. Sometimes they're in there, sometimes they're not. There's no way for you to know ahead of time whether or not they're going to be in there, whether or not you're going to have to pull through. So you have to always know your truck weight. You have to know the weights of your different axles. Each axle has a maximum capacity. And I don't know if you just saw that. I'm gonna go back real quick. So like you. But I drove under right here. See, you know, if I skipped through the way station, I would have had to go up through here, past this guard shack, past this little building where the state troopers are. But for those who do that, who skip through, they have these two cameras up here, and these two cameras, you know, Esau is the eagle, so that they collect all your information. You know, your license plate information. They can look at your truck number, all of that information. And let's say the state troopers were having people pull in, and I skipped it. They can track me down by knowing my truck, and then they'll actually turn you around, and you'll have to go all the way back to that station that you tried to skip through. Or sometimes you just get away with it. It's kind of an up in the air thing. But anyway, like I said, all they would have to do to shut down transportation in America is block the road and have you go through the station. You know, if you don't have the RFID chip, just like I have these little devices up here in the glass, if you don't have that RFID chip in you, which would do the same thing, it would be allowed to scan and read your personal information. Then they stop you and they pull you over. And then they take you to some concentration camp, which probably wouldn't be too far away. That's all they would have to do. Block up the road, force people to go through the station. Not a hard thing. People think it's a far-fetched thing, a conspiracy thing for them to be able to shut down America and destroy it and cause the dollar to crash. And this shit is already crashing. This shit is already burning. This shit is already going out. You know, Esau knows it. That's why the guy who got in office as president said, "Look, man, we got to make America great. We got to go." He put the code out there. Look, we got to go back to the 40s. We got to do something to bring it back, man, because this is getting outrageous, man. These niggers are getting out of place, and that's the case. That's why they picked him, because they said, look, this is the guy who fulfills prophecy. And just like the men of the Lord, you have certain men of the Lord who were picked because they're the guys who fulfill prophecy. They're the guys who are going to do what the scriptures say to do. That's why brothers stay in the scriptures and they preach the scriptures, and the rebukes are coming out, because these guys who are the heads of Great Millstone, the elders and apostles that we show great respect to, who've been in the truth for 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, 15 years. You got to respect it. You got to respect that these men were set up over you, and you have to respect it. And you got a lot of, unfortunately, you got a lot of young men in my age bracket who they've never had a man over them, or they never had a man telling them what to do. Or maybe they did have a man over them telling them what to do, but they didn't necessarily trust that person. And with this, your trust is in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and your trust is that man is his servant. Because you have to trust that if he's not his servant, if that man is wicked, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is going to cast him out and have him replaced. And so, that's why you got a lot these brothers were bringing out, man. You got a lot of these guys who come into camp, and the brothers did right by them. The brothers hooked them up. The brothers exalted them and everything. And at the end of the day, these guys talking shit, making videos, disrespecting, saying fuck you, all of this. When just last week, face to face, it was all good. It was all fun and games. It was all love. Because it's and that's something that I see myself. That's why I see, like they said, the apostles are why they are. But I don't want to ramble on too long, man. It's just the end is coming, and if you don't really have faith, you don't really believe it. The cold is out. You getting scared to go out in the cold. You can't stand a little bit of cold, a little bit of nippy weather. You can't stand a little bit of persecution, a little bit of that kind of thing. Hey, you might want to reconsider and just, step away. Look, I'm not ready for this kind of thing. But if you are ready for this kind of thing, if you are a man of the Lord according to the scriptures, you are going to exemplify what the things that a man of the Lord is supposed to be doing, which is many things according to the scriptures. Going out on the highways, and we know the pinnacle stuff. Going out on the highways and byways, preaching the truth and sincerity, keeping the order, building up the house of Dawodah, house of David, different things like that. I could go on all day. I mean, you could go through the entirities of the scriptures. Everything Solomon spoke of, Esdras spoke of, Isaiah, Jeremiah, all these men spoke of concerning the prophets and how a man of the Lord was supposed to be. Paul spoke of. So, hey, this stuff is for real, And I did this, not to talk about trucking, but just to show you how close we are and how stuff is geared for it. You could clearly see it. And like I said, these way stations and these different platforms with cameras and RFID scanning technology, it's every 100 miles. You can't drive through America and not go through one. You can't. Truck drivers try to avoid them all the time. Every route you go on in America, you can look it up on Google. Every route you go on is going to be a way station like this. There's going to be some kind of RFID scanning devices, which are now is for truck drivers and trucks, but eventually that could change. You know how they do. They can switch that stuff up in an instant. But with that being said, all praise to Yahweh Bashim Abishad, the ones that apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to you, Akim, you so-called elect men of Yahweh Bashim Abishad. Shalom till next time, Lord willing.